Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going in depth into 4 late-round players that you want to be drafting in 2024 fantasy football. But before we do a nice deep dive into these 4 late-round players, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure you leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. If you want to follow me on Twitter or X, please do so at NotoriousFantasy. So without further ado, let's get into late-round players that you want 2024 fantasy football. We begin with my first late-round player that you will want in 2024 fantasy football, and that's going to be Raheem Mostert, running back of the Miami Dolphins, current underdog ADP, running back 29 at pick 94.3. Now, if you listened to me and drafted Raheem Mostert late last season, it was essentially that Willy Wonka golden ticket. You picked up just a beautiful butterfly, a beautiful flower, because Raheem Mostert was dominant 50 Shades of Grey style, and he was a late round pick. Running back 5 in PPR, running back 4 in PPR points per game. But now, because everyone is really getting down on their knees and giving the Gawk Gawk 9000 special to Devin Achane, right? Because this team drafted Jalen Wright, another speedster, people are now backtracking on Raheem Mostert, despite the fact that the guy was a top 5 running back in PPR and in PPR points per game, despite the fact that the guy was 20th in carries, 10th in rushing yards, 42nd in targets, 42nd in receptions, 43rd in receiving yards, and the man scored 21 total touchdowns, over 1,100 all-purpose yards, and 21 total touchdowns first at running back in 15 games. People are counting Raheem Mostert out, despite the fact that this guy had an uber-efficient season last year, 4.5 true yards per carry, 11th at running back, 7th in terms of juke rate, 6th in breakaway run rate, 10th in evaded tackles, and 8th in dominator rating. People are basically saying that they don't want to play with him anymore, like Andy in Toy Story, throwing Woody away, right? That is what people are doing to Raheem Mostert. And I get why we're hyping up Devin 2 Chains, right? Devin A. Chain was off the hypothetical chain last season, right? That is a guy that needs more touches in this offense, and I fully agree. And I like that the Dolphins, as a Dolphins fan, drafted Jalen Wright, adding more speed to this backfield in case any of these other running backs, knock on wood, on the Dolphins were to get injured. But when push comes to shove, I would not be shocked at all if Devin A. Chain was a top 12 running back, and Raheem Mostert was a top 14 running back. This is a Dolphins team that has a pretty meh offensive line, but with the Mike McDaniel scheme, they're able to run the ball incredibly effectively. I hope as a Dolphins fan that we lean more onto the run this season, and I think that based upon the production we've seen out of Raheem Mostert as a Miami Dolphin, the upside is there for him to have another top 12 year. I'm not going to sit here and bang the drums and tell you that, hey, he's guaranteed to be a top 5, top 6 guy like last season. That would be crazy. Because again, I do believe they're trying to hand off the hypothetical keys to the backfield, the keys to Devin Achane. But I also can understand that as the running back 29 off the board, that it's a little bit disrespectful going close to pick 100. And if something was to happen to a chain, then Raheem Mostert, again, knock on wood, we're not rooting for injuries here, Raheem Mostert could really be a top 8 running back every single week. This Dolphins offense is that good. And when you have a running back that is as explosive as Raheem Mostert, even if he's just getting 10 carries a game, a couple of dump-offs, that's a guy that could put your team on his back, drop 20-plus points in any given game. So right now, I think the ADP is drastically, basically just laughing at what Raheem Mostert did last season. Again, if we get to late August, early September, and Jalen Wright is more involved, then maybe Raheem Mostert will be the wrong pick. But right now, I think Raheem Mostert as the running back 29 is a steal. At number 2, we got Magic Mike Williams, wide receiver of the New York Jumbo Jets. Underdog ADP wide receiver 51 at pick 105.1. Wide receiver 112 last year for the Chargers, though he was the wide receiver 10 in PPR points per game prior to him tearing his ACL in week number 3. 3 games played with 3 starts for Mike Williams, 26 targets, 8.7 per game, 19 receptions, 6.3 per game, 249 receiving yards, 83 per game, and he scored 1 touchdown. Now, in terms of efficiency stats, I do love to look at the efficiency stats, kind of find some things that these running backs, receivers, quarterbacks, tight ends, that they're all great at, right? It's a very interesting look into things, but Mike Williams played in such few games that he doesn't even qualify for a lot of the efficiency stat metrics. Now, I am personally someone that worries about the fact that at Aaron Rodgers' age, coming back from the Achilles, maybe Aaron Rodgers isn't what we think he could be. But I do not believe that you need Aaron Rodgers, discount double check style, back-to-back Michael Jordan 96-97 MVP version of Aaron Rodgers for Mike Williams to be successful. And we have seen some pretty positive reports for Mike Williams. Now, head coach Robert Saleh, aka Xerxes from 300, says he's got a long way to go, but he's on the same timeline that Breece Hall had. You guys remember last season? Very similar injuries, same time frame. Breece Hall last year played week 1 up against the Buffalo Bills in that game where Aaron Rodgers got hurt. And then Zach Wilson, the MILF Hunter himself, ended up securing the W up against the Bills. Saleh also says, speaking with Mike, he knows he's got a road to trek, but at the same time, if he does it the right way, we are confident that he will be ready to go for week number 1. Now, in week number 1, am I going to be salivating to start Mike Williams? Probably not. Probably not, because maybe it takes him some time to get acclimated. But as the wide receiver 51 at pick 105.1, you are afforded that buffer, right? That wait and see what happens while he's chilling on your bench, and then maybe he becomes a guy that you really want to start a couple of weeks into the season. Again, I don't believe that we need the best version of Aaron Rodgers for that to happen. Now, the biggest no-no when it comes to Mike Williams is that a lot of people say that he's injury prone. And sure, he's not always healthy. And sure, he's gotten hurt in the past. But it seems like people have really overstretched that narrative. I think that Mike Williams, coming off the ACL injury, sure, it might be a little bit scary, but he's the wide receiver 51. You should be willing to take that shot, especially if Aaron Rodgers comes back and looks even better than I think he could. And Mike Williams as the number 2 receiver on the Jets offense, oh my, do I like that. At number 3, the third late round player that you want, we got TJ Hockenson. We're doubling up on injured players. Tight end of the cold like Minnesota Vikings, ADP tight end 13 at pick 115. If you guys have enjoyed this far, hit that subscribe button down below if you're new. Whether you are new to the channel or not, make sure to leave a like on today's video. It would help me out a ton. So tight end number 4 in PPR, tight end 1 in PPR points per game last season. Great. Fantastic. 15 games played with 11 starts. There's his ACL and his MCL in week 16. Now, according to the most recent time frame on Hockenson, he is ahead of schedule in his recovery with the torn right ACL and MCL. Alec Lewis of The Athletic reported that. He also said that the Vikings will not push Hockenson to play week 1. Right? They're not pushing him to start week 1, and his status remains in question. So I'm not going to sit here and scream to the mountaintops that I believe for sure that TJ Hockenson is going to play week number 1, because I think in the middle of May, that is delusional to say. That is completely delusional to say. I don't think it's delusional to say that about Mike Williams, that he'll be good to go for week number 1. I think it's delusional to say about TJ Hockenson because of the time of the injury. Mike Williams was hurt in week number 3. TJ Hockenson was hurt basically at the end of the season, right? 15 games played for Hockenson. Lewis also said that there's a chance that he starts the season on the PUP/injured reserve, and that we'd see Josh Oliver and Johnny Munt play in that scenario. So while there's a chance he misses the first couple of games of the season, I think at tight end number 13 off the board, it is worth the risk. Because when you're taking a tight end that late, it is acceptable to take 2 tight ends. Now, in drafts recently, I've been someone that is a little bit more trigger happy on the tight ends early because no longer do you have to draft tight end in the first round. You can get these great tight ends like Laporta, Kelsey, Ray McBride, 4th round of some drafts. But in the drafts where maybe I am pushing the tight end position down and I draft a running back or receiver in that spot, I am more than willing to take the shot on TJ Hockenson. TJ Hockenson gets thrown on the pup. Guess what I can do? I can put him in my IR spot and draft another tight end. And then right after the draft, I could pick up someone off the waiver wire and get that additional piece. Again, while I don't think that TJ Hockenson is a guarantee to be fully healthy for week 1, and I don't even know if he was healthy, if I would be confident enough to start him in week number 1. But what I do know one thing though. Come in, they come, they go. But I do know one thing. That is that when TJ Hockenson is healthy, even with JJ McCarthy or with mono man Sam Darnold under center, I want to play TJ Hockenson. He is one of the premier tight ends in the National Football League. 127 targets last season, 8.5 per game, number 2. Number 2 in receptions with 95, 6.3 per game. 960 receiving yards, 64 per game, number 4. 5 total touchdowns, 7th. Efficiency stats, 8th in dominator rating, 5th in yards per route run, 4th in yards per team pass attempt. Again, is JJ McCarthy, is Sam Darnold as good as Kirk O'Chains, Kirk Thuggins? Of course not. But when you are as talented as TJ Hockenson, when you will catch anything thrown near you, don't have to be fucking Patrick Mahomes. You don't need Mahomes throwing you the ball when you are that good. At number 4, we got my man Jerome Fode, F-150, running back of the Cleveland Browns, underdog ADP running back 42 at pick 136.4. Now, again, it's early. It's May. My projection is that 9-inch Nicholas Chubb is not ready to start the season, that Nick Chubb is going to take some time to come back. And maybe he comes back and he's not the same. Now, you guys know me. Watch for a while. Haven't been. Hit that subscribe button. If you're new, or maybe you're a newer subscriber, I am the president of the 9-inch Nicholas Chubb bandwagon. I love Nick Chubb. It sent shivers down my spine when I saw that Nick Chubb got hurt. That injury was gruesome, and it hurt to see because, again, I am a huge fan of Nick Chubb. But I am not going to sit here and pretend like I saw what I saw, and I think that now Nick Chubb is going to be ready to go for week number 1. Now, I say this all the time. I'm as much of a doctor as Johnny Sins or one of the other dudes you see on the hub or the other tube. Okay? But what I will tell you is that I don't think there is any way that Nick Chubb is ready for the start of the season. Most recent report is Nick Chubb continues to progress from his season-ending knee injury. He had 2 separate surgeries. The first in September to repair the damage to his medial capsule. Not sure what that means. Discus and medial collateral ligament. Again, I'm not a doctor. And he had to have a second surgery to repair the ACL. 2 surgeries for the injury. Again, not a doctor. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be fucking, what is that, Grey's Anatomy, Dr. Gray, or whatever the hell that guy's name is, right? I'm not going to pretend to be him. I don't know for sure. Maybe Nick Chubb comes back week 1, but to me that seems like a pipe dream. Especially when head coach Kevin Stefanski says, when he's ready, he'll be ready. To me, that doesn't give me any confidence that he's going to be ready to start the season. That doesn't even give me confidence that he'll be ready halfway into the season. So even if Jerome Ford is a fucking rental car, a rental truck in this scenario, Ford F-150, then I think that is worth it. As running back 42, pick 136.4. The backfield. 9-inch Nicholas Chubb. Again, I don't project him to be there early on. If he is, then I look like a buffoon. But that's why this video is being recorded in May, not in August, when we'll have more information. There'll probably be another version of this video. As we go on, there might be 3 more versions of this video. Video in June, July, and August. Talking about different players or the same players, maybe. Like them all. Jerome Ford, Nicholas Chubb, Donta Foreman, and Raheem Hines. Raheem Hines stinks to high heaven. Smell him through the screen. It smells like a skunk. It's disgusting, okay? Donta Foreman is pretty decent. I'm not going to sit here and just shame Donta Foreman, but I think Jerome Ford is better. I've seen Jerome Ford in Cleveland produce. Running back 16 last year in PPR, 25 in PPR points per game. With Kareem Hunt last season, Kareem Hunt is where to be found right now. 17 games played with 12 starts, 204 carries, 12 per game, number 23 at running back. 813 rushing yards, 47.8 per game, number 22. 63 targets, 44 receptions. 14th in targets, 17th in receptions. 15th in receiving yards with 319. And 9 total touchdowns, 12th. And he was 14th in yards created. I am not claiming that Jerome Ford is good as Nicholas Chubb. I am not going to sit here and pretend that Jerome Ford is the next LaDainian Thomas and Jerome Ford is the next Barry Sanders. He's the next whoever you want to say. Adrian Peterson. He's the next McCaffrey. He's the next this. He's the next that. But again, it's like with Rodgers, right? I don't think Rodgers needs to be at his apex to be as good or to be good enough for a guy like Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Mike Williams to succeed. I don't think Jerome Ford needs to be the best running back in the NFL ever assembled to be successful in Cleveland. I think with Deshaun Watson back, Deshaun Watson hasn't been the best. I don't think he's necessarily, his career is finished, right? I do think that they want to run the ball a lot in Cleveland. I am excited about Jerome Ford to start the season. So again, maybe this ends up just being a 3-4 week rental. At the end of the day, I'm fine doing that as the running back 42. And if something was to happen to Chubb again, knock on wood, we don't root for injuries, Jerome Ford could be a legitimate league winner. Or if Nick Chubb just doesn't come back, or he comes back and he just... Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you did end up enjoying, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below while you're down there. Whether you are new to the channel or not, make sure you leave a like on today's video. Check out one of the videos on your screen if you haven't seen them already. I love you guys all so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about these players. Maybe let me know a late round player that I didn't talk about that you guys like. I love you guys all so much. Hope you have a great guys' day. And as always, good boy.